G'day, happy Thursday to you. Talking about emotions again today. Today I really want to assess how we can use our emotions to better guide us in life. So the thought for me today is that often our emotions are there, and as I said the other day, Josh Friedman's quote, emotions serve to focus our attention and energize us. Really a survival tool, right? So when we are faced with an opportunity, a threat, we get an emotion that helps charge us up, focus our attention so we can go towards that opportunity or avoid the threat. In this day and age, we have most of our survival needs met, right? We're not running from the tiger. We're not hunting for food. At least most of us in the world today, we have most of our needs met. Our survival needs basically met. But our emotions still run, and they still force us to react and charge our attention and energize us. And when we get that emotion, sometimes we react, but the outcome is more poorly than we'd otherwise like it. Like when you get an anger emotion, often when people are angry, they react, and it often doesn't help the situation. It actually usually helps escalate the situation and makes things worse. And I can think of many other examples, as I'm sure you probably can as well. So we need to tune in to our emotions. So when we had this emotional feeling come through us, our body charges up, our physiology changes. And that's powerful when that emotion, and you can feel it. You can probably think of some examples when you really get that emotion and you can actually feel like a heat run through your body and this charge come to you. When you get excited, for example, you might scream and yell like at a concert. The same thing might happen and the same feeling might happen when you get scared, maybe out at night and someone jumps out in front of you. Your body doesn't know the difference. It just reacts to charge your attention and allow you to focus your energy. So I think it's important for us to be aware of our emotions. And the only way we can do that is through a practice of mindfulness, so meditation. And by doing that, we can cultivate our self-awareness and be more present so that when that emotion comes to us, in that moment, we can be more self-aware, more present, and really try and understand, okay, what is this emotion trying to tell me? How is this emotion trying to guide me? What we often do is we block our emotions, right? We try and subside them, we try and numb them. And I can think of one great example that most of us can relate to. I certainly can relate to this. And let's say you've had a really great week, you've had some wins this week, and you get home, and to celebrate, you have a few drinks. Okay? That's a behavior in response to an emotional, this elated, happy feeling. And so you have a drink. On the other hand, you have another person that's had a real bad week, real shit week, and they come home and they have a few drinks. So again, just this emotion, this feeling of anger or sadness or whatever it might be from that tough week, and they have that behavior, which is exactly the same behavior for two very opposing emotions. And it just goes to show that regardless of the emotion, we react in a certain way. But as we know, well, as I am starting to really appreciate, is that, by having a drink, and this is just one example, we could use many behaviors that we do to try and subside our emotions, like running, hiding, avoiding conflict, things like that. But this is just one behavior that we do that doesn't actually help that emotion flow, doesn't actually help us be present with that emotion. And so we don't know how to deal with it in the future. If we continue to subside and block the emotion, that's not going to help. I had an interview with Cedric Patelli, episode 1104 just recently. And we spoke about emotions in that, and he came up with this fairly radical idea on how to process emotions. And basically it was about cultivating awareness so that when you have an emotion, you can allow it flow through. And then that emotion's less likely to repeat itself in the future, or not at all, according to Cedric. So it's a really interesting conversation. Check it out at thehiddenwhy.com, Cedric Patelli. But anyway, he talks about allowing those emotions to flow through rather than bottling them up. And we talked about an example there. When you have anger, some people say go and punch a punching bag. He doesn't think that's a great idea because by punching the punching bag, you're not actually processing that emotion. You're not actually being with that emotion. So I think the important step forward for us to better use our emotions as a guiding tool is to become more self-aware. And that's exactly what Josh talks about in the interview I did with him. Become more self-aware so you can be more present. And when you have those emotional feelings, whether they're really strong emotional feelings or just mild ones, perhaps you can have that moment of clarity to tune in and go, okay, well, what is this about? Why am I feeling this way? And then try and process that. And you might find a better way to process that, whether it's the ability to celebrate the great week you've had or to manage the not so great week that you've had. And I think this is a really important thing for all of us to really tune into our emotions. And if we can get better at tuning into our emotions, perhaps we won't let them continually make us react and have less favorable outcomes moving forward. I think it's important. I think if we can use our emotions as a guiding tool to bring our attention towards something, to focus our energy on something, then perhaps we can live with more purpose. We can live with more meaning and live with more joy. And that's what it's all about for me. Have a great day ahead.